Hey everybody, I'm John and this is Blind Whiskey Reviews. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. As always, if you're liking these videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and click the bell notification. That way you'll know every time I'm uploading a new video and every time I'm starting a new live stream. And also, don't forget, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. That way YouTube knows you like the video and other people might like my videos too. So, today we're doing one of the very few segments that I do that are not blind, which is our last pour. And today we're going to be looking at the last pours of E.H. Taylor Small Batch, Stagg Jr., and Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. So I'm very excited to do this lineup for you, so let's not waste any more time and let's get into our first whiskey. Alright, so for our first pour, we're going to be doing Jack Daniel's. This bottle's been open for over a year. I think I opened it somewhere about May of last year. It was one of my earlier reviews that I did. And with all of these whiskeys, if you want to check out the actual bottle review, I'll link it up here and in the description below. I'm not going to be doing a ton of reviewing of what the whiskey's tasting like. I just want to tell you guys more about my experience with these whiskeys, how they did from beginning to end, and if I'll be buying another one. So, for this whiskey, let's have our first pour here and our taste. Cheers. This whiskey still tastes dang good. So, I like this whiskey from the start. I think I gave it a pretty high score. Don't remember what the score I gave it originally was, but I did a speedy sample re-review of this as well. And now I'm tasting it still over a year later. This whiskey still tastes fantastic, guys. I really enjoy it, and a lot of people poo-poo Jack Daniel's and they don't like their whiskey. And most of the time I agree with you. This is the only Jack Daniel's release that I do enjoy. But God, I mean, if you can have a bottle open for 14 months, I had this bottle pretty low for a pretty long period of time. The flavors have changed over the course of this bottle being open, but they haven't changed for the better or worse. They just changed to some extent. Like there were times where this whiskey tasted very banana forward, then that would go away, and it would turn more into this much more like regular kind of bourbon kind of style taste where that banana wasn't there. The banana would come back. I mean, it changed a lot, but never for the worse. It always just was interesting and good and drinkable whiskey. So for a barrel proof, single barrel release from a well-known distillery, this goes for somewhere about, I think I got this bottle for about $50 to $55. I think it's well worth the money, and I will definitely be picking up another bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel barrel proof. All right, our next whiskey is Stagg Jr. As with Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof, I've done a regular bottle review of this whiskey when the bottle was first opened, and I also did a speedy sample review. Those will be linked up here and in the description down below. Let's pour this whiskey. This whiskey was one of my very first reviews. I think I reviewed this within it's like my third or fourth. It was definitely within the first month I had this channel started. And I loved it. I thought it was great whiskey. This is batch 9. And there's a lot of talk, if you go digging, you'll find a lot of talk about the different batches of Stagg Jr. And I have found that some of them vary a decent amount in quality batch to batch. Batch 9 was fantastic, and it is pretty universally regarded as one of the better batches out there. Batch 9 is obviously long gone. I bought this bottle probably, I don't know, 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. So I don't know that you're going to be finding batch 9 floating out there, but if you can, it's a really good one. But for me, start to finish, this whiskey was great. But let's get a sip of this in here. Still big, bold flavors. I'll say it's still a great whiskey. I'll say it's tapered off just slightly towards the end of the bottle here. The flavors used to be slightly more punchy, slightly more in your face in terms of the like fruity qualities and the caramel qualities. It used to be a little bit bigger. And that's kind of to some extent to be expected when a bottle's been open for a long period of time. Like I said, this bottle's been open for a year and a half. So you're going to expect a little bit of muting of those flavors, and that's exactly what I'm finding here. It's still a fantastic pour. It definitely doesn't bring the heat that it did, which is kind of good because this whiskey can be very in your face at the 131.9 proof that this was bottled at. It's definitely a big, bold, hot whiskey, and a lot of that heat has gone away. So even though the flavors have mellowed slightly. So is the intensity of the heat that you get on your palate. So it's definitely not a bad trade-off. I mean, those things are still good. You don't get quite the punch of flavor, but you also don't get this big burst of heat either. So yeah, still a great pour. And don't get me wrong, there is still plenty of heat to be had in this whiskey. So if you like a good barrel-proof whiskey, this is definitely one you want to give a try if you haven't already. But for me, would I be buying another bottle of Stagg Jr.? For me, I can typically find this in the $50 range, maybe $55 range. And for me, that is a steal. I will be buying Stagg Jr. at $50 all day long. For again, a Buffalo Trace whiskey that is priced at $50 for a very high proof, barrel proof whiskey. Definitely a great deal and definitely something I will be picking up again. All right, for our last whiskey today, we're looking at the E.H. Taylor, Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch. So I did a bottle review of this. Again, I'll link it up in the corner in the description below. I did not do a speedy sample review. Well, I'll take that back. I did do a speedy sample review, and for whatever reason, something went wrong with that sample, and the sample tasted off, and I just decided not to pour another one because at that point this bottle was almost empty. But so the sample tasted strange, and I compared the sample to what I had left in the bottle, and they tasted totally different. So I didn't think it was fair to put the whiskey, like it was like way off. It tasted completely weird. So I decided not to put that review out because it didn't make sense. It wasn't representative of what this whiskey tasted like. I think maybe there was something in the bottle or something went bad with it. So I didn't put it on. But let's get to this whiskey. So I really enjoyed this to start. It's a great pour fresh out of the bottle. You get a lot of that Buffalo Trace fruity apple sweetness, the big red fruit, the caramel. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on. And it's a very, very, very typical kind of Buffalo Trace character. But it's coming in at 100 proof because this is bottled in bond. So it was a great first pour. Let's see what the last pour is tasting like. You still get that very distinct Buffalo Trace nose, that big juicy red fruit. It just punches you in the face and it's awesome. I do love that about Buffalo Trace. Yeah, this whiskey is still tasting quite good, but I think I've had this bottle open. I don't remember when I did this review, maybe like 6, 7, 8 months ago, somewhere in that ballpark. And it definitely was better at the beginning. I'll say it's still good whiskey. It's still very drinkable, but it's definitely, I don't remember what I scored it, but if I scored it an 85 then, it's an 80 now. It's still good, but it's definitely fallen off. So for me, if I get a bottle of this open again, I'll definitely be wanting to drink it a little bit faster than I did on this bottle. I'll say try to stay, in the 4 to 6 month range on this one. For me, it dropped off just a bit, and I think the lower, higher proof whiskeys tend to stay a little bit better in the bottle, and because this one's only 100 proof, I think perhaps that kind of contributed to it falling off a little bit quicker than some of your other whiskeys you might be hanging on to will. But again, no complaints about the way this whiskey tastes now. It is still fantastic whiskey. Tastes really good, but it was way better in the first 4 to 6 months. It was really, really significantly, I won't say significant, it was a better pour. Now, it's still a good pour, but it's not a great pour. So, will I be buying another bottle of E.H. Taylor? This bottle can be had around me for about $40, and absolutely, I love this whiskey. It's fantastic, and if you can drink it within 6 months, you're definitely getting your money's worth. So, I will wholeheartedly be buying another bottle of the Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch whiskey. All right, everybody, there you have it. You've got my will I buy it again or will I not on these 3 whiskeys. And obviously today you saw it was 3. I will buy all of these whiskeys again. These were all great pours. I had no problems with any of them. I enjoyed them thoroughly. I think they're all priced pretty reasonably, and they're a good value for what you're going for. So a little bit boring. We didn't mix it up any there. We didn't have any duds in this batch, but no, these were all great whiskeys. So happy to buy them again. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on any of these 3 whiskeys in the comments down below. What do you think of E.H. Taylor Stagg Jr. or Jack Daniel's single barrel proof? Love to hear your guys' comments. Which one's your favorite out of the 3? And as always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews@gmail.com. And until next time, I don't have a glass. Cheers.